So, this is going to be the first video that is actually planned out a little bit. I mean, I didn't write a script, nothing, it's just off the top of my head. But I had a plan to make this video, so I came out here to do exactly that. Now, the first video was kind of just, I found my bag and my camera and said, you know what, we're just going to start it. We're just going to start a YouTube. So here we are. So this video, it's not going to be anything crazy, but we are going to go over a couple of my past hikes, trips, accidents, and whatever else comes to mind as we talk. So we'll start with the first trip. It was a friend of mine, Jordan was his name. We hung out, we watched a lot of survival videos and went on small hikes just for fun, and we had a lot of fires and forest cooking, which was great. But one night we were at home watching Survivor Man on YouTube, some clips of it, and we decided, you know what, let's take an awesome trip, a day trip to a spot we've never been in, but let's make it difficult. Let's pick a location far that is off the trail, and let's take the trail and see if we can get there. We did exactly that. So the next morning, we left my house around 6:30 a.m., give or take, and we decided to go somewhere into, I think it was around Grimsby area, to be honest with you, taking the rail trail through Albion Falls and King's Forest. If you're familiar with Hamilton, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But we got on the trail around 6:30, like I said. Now we had everything for the day packed. We had breakfast, lunch, dinner, ready to go. Batteries were fully charged in our gear. And we decided to just pick a spot and go. So everything was fine. Everything went smooth. Now we were following a very primitive map. And I mean, we didn't get lost, but my God, it was about a 12.5-hour hike. We underestimated the distance for sure. And that 12 hours was just to get to the spot. That's not hiking back in the dark. Exhausted. And it's funny though. So the whole beginning of the trip, we're cheery, you know, excited, enthused, like we're ready to go. And on the walk back, it was just complete silence. Complete silence. And the best part of the trip was when we finally got home and sat down. And we ordered pizza and continued watching Survivor Man. It was kind of funny. So that day, we coined our trips as, what do we call them? Oh, geez. Man Ventures. Because we invited so many people on the next ones, and they would all be all excited, and they'd show up, they'd be ready to go, and 5 or 6 hours into it, and they're tapping out, calling a cab or an Uber, or hiking back to the car early. So, turns out it was just me and him that were crazy enough to do it, or stupid enough to do it, one or the other. But, yeah, I think our longest one was 63 kilometers. It was an overnight. Location, I can't really remember where we ended up. It was nowhere near our destination, but it was somewhere out in, I want to say, almost Oakville. We had to be close to Oakville, like Waterdown area even. And yeah, it started torrential downpour. We strung up our tarps in the trees, but unfortunately it was just, it came out of nowhere, caught us off guard, and everything was just soaked to the bone. And the funny thing about Jordan is when he taps out, he shuts down. Like, he will stop and sleep on someone's front lawn or in the middle of the street. He doesn't care. It's keeping him up and motivated to get going was the hard part of every trip we've ever been on, him and I, honestly. But it was great fun. It was really good fun. And the whole time doing it, I'm like, wow, we should really make a YouTube out of this. But how? That was always the problem with this, is how do you start? And with that day bag breakdown, I decided, you know what, this is how you start. You just pick up the camera and start. That's kind of what this is. Sorry for this. I'm running hydro out here eventually. And the dog's walking around making clacking noises with his nails. Sorry about that. But, yeah, so now some of the cool trips we've done, because there are some pretty neat ones. So the one time, it was me and Jordan again, and my brother Liam decided to join us. And it was funny. So we were going from the Gage Park Rail Trail area, like I said, if you're familiar with Hamilton, you'll know exactly where this is, to Mount Nemo, taking the rail trail and Bruce Trail, a mixture. So we ended up walking all the way around Ancaster, Burlington, and all the way around, almost close to Milton, honestly. And it was like a 16-hour hike. In the winter, mind you, in the winter. And about halfway back, I think it was around 9:30 at night, a snowstorm just came out of left field. And it was a complete whiteout. Couldn't see. And I mean, it's hard enough navigating in the dark. Oh, hang on. I don't know why that keeps happening. Sorry about that. The tracking on my tripod decided to stop halfway through that. Now, like I said, I'm learning some editing skills. Now, hopefully I can edit all of this out and it will be seamless, but here's hoping. Anyway, what was I saying? So yeah, it was around 9:30ish at night, halfway back, snowstorm. And I mean, it came out of nowhere. It was a complete whiteout. Couldn't see your hand in front of your face. And it's hard enough navigating in the dark in a spot you've only walked through one time, and that's going north. Now you're heading south. And it was just a whole thing. And as the leader of the group, everyone was depending on me. And in my head, I had no idea where I was going or how bad this was going to get. But, I mean, it was bad. So I decided to go up ahead a little bit while the others caught their breath. Now, I didn't go too far, because I understand that even in a blizzard like that, you can go 10 feet and that's it, you're lost. Now, I know it sounds a little far-fetched because we are on the trail. It's kind of hard to get lost on the trail, but it's just a good practice to have that. Never go out of shouting distance. Mind you, in a blizzard, shouting distance, it can be muffled, so it was a risk, but I took it. And so at this point, they're breaking down. They're exhausted. They just want to stop and get home. That's it. But there is no giving up. We have to keep going. So somehow I seen like an outcropping of rock on the side of the mountain brow, and we went up there, and it was actually like a cave mouth almost. It was a pretty significant opening into the rocks, and there was signs of fire. Someone had a fire there not long ago. The rocks were still warm, actually. So, inspecting the place, I noticed that people have been having fires in here for a long time. So the chances of the heat cracking the giant Volkswagen-sized boulder above our head was, I'm not going to say slim to none, but it was low. It was low. So we had a small, controlled fire to warm us up and dry our boots. And funny enough, my brother, Liam, didn't realize how cold his feet were. And he was drying his boots, and we cooked some food, we had some chicken. It was a good time. I mean, I do have pictures. Maybe I'll link them down or post an overlay or something if I can find them. This was a long time ago, like 2014 maybe. But as we're going, or getting ready to go, we put out the fire, and we're getting our boots on. Mine were dry, Jordan's were dry. Liam's the soles were gone completely. Melted completely off. So that was a bad situation. Luckily, one of my main things in my hiking bag, which I didn't actually show you in the breakdown video, is I always carry multiple pairs of socks. That is my number one survival tip, is always pack extra socks. Hiking in wet shoes or wet socks is horrible. It's horrible. And when you're lost, which we're going to get to that, when you're lost, the smallest problems can become the biggest problems. I'm sure you are all aware of that. But so we had to makeshift some mucklucks, almost some moccasins out of socks and cordage, and pray they held up on the walk home through the snow. We did make it. We did make it, and we KO'd probably 3 pots of hot coffee and ordered a pizza and watched what's that movie? Forget it. Alone, I think. Alone. Whatever. Yeah, that was pretty neat. A couple caving stories. Let's have a caving story. So the group and I, a couple friends and a girlfriend at the time, out in Collingwood, Blue Mountain area. One of her brother actually said he knew where this cool cave was. So we all piled in the cars. We took off. We went to the cave, and he's never been in caves before. He just knows about it. So I'm not an expert by any means, but I've been in about I've been in a good number of caves, put it that way. I know the safety, I know the precautions. So I made, excuse me, I don't know why I have to clear my throat. So we're going through, there was probably around 6 of us, and he was in front of me. He wanted to go first. He was just afraid to be the only guy to go. So I followed right behind him. And we're going through this one section of this cave. I can't remember what it's called. The Freezer Cave, I think. I'll try and link it down or overlay it once again if I can remember the name of it. But it was a crevice. It was probably halfway through this cave. You're probably, I'm going to say, 10, 15 feet under the ground. And there's this section. It's called the Crack. It's probably 15, 20 feet long and about 2 feet wide. So you had to squeeze. You had barely enough room to breathe, it feels like. When you're in between that many rocks, it feels a lot tighter than it really is. Excuse me. That's better. Oh my goodness. So we're going, and everyone's having a good time, laughing and joking, and girlfriend behind me is shining her light all around. And out of the corner of my eye, I notice something almost quivering, like vibrating. And I know that there's large spiders in caves. Even in Ontario, there's large spiders in caves. I'm not sure the species, but they're large. And if you don't like spiders, don't go in caves. Trust me, don't go in caves. But I know they're harmless. But explaining that to the people that are face to face with this thing just about is pointless. So I notice his head start to turn to look at what I'm looking at, and just my reaction was to reach up and grab whatever it was. And I know what it was. And I don't want to gross you out, but you could almost feel the legs like resisting my fist. I didn't squish it. I was just holding it. Because I knew that if he looked up and seen it, he would have panicked. And there was no getting past me and the 4 other people behind me. Because like I said, this is 2 feet wide. People would have got hurt. People would have got stuck. It would not have been a good situation. So I think I held that spider for a good solid 5 minutes. And I'm not a fan of spiders either, so it wasn't fun. I don't recommend it. Don't do it. But yeah, that was a fun trip. I feel like I'm rambling, and I apologize, but these videos will get better as we go. I do have a couple of trips planned soon, but they are going to be solo trips because I want to learn how to use all this new gear and software and all that other stuff. But we'll get to the group trips and everything else in later videos. I'm looking really forward to this winter. That's one of my favorite times of year to camp, as you can tell with all the winter stories. I love it. Now, what else can I talk about? So, the one time, this is the last story I'll tell. So, again, in Collingwood, same group of people, actually. Same group of people minus her brother. There was a buddy of mine, his name was Jason. He lived out, he was a local. Now, when I lived in Wasaga Beach, I was only there for maybe 6 months for work. So I didn't know the area. I knew there was a trail, and it was pretty heavily used. So, that's pretty much all I knew. But I knew this guy named Jason, and he told me that he knew this amazing spot to go camping. And he says, it's 100% private, you won't see anybody there. It's almost like a secret grotto. So, of course, who's not going to want to go there, right? So, good news for us is we all packed to go camping for the weekend. So, we're going. We meet up at this video store. I can't remember the name of it. Hollywood Video, it was called. And, this patch of woods might even be subdivisions now. But back then it was, it's large. It is very large. Bigger than I expected. So we meet up at the Hollywood Video. We head out to the trail. He's telling us how to get there. We're having a good time. It was about midday at this point. We've been hiking for maybe 4.5, 5 hours. And it was my fault in a way, but I didn't really pay attention to much. I mean, some survival skills you just use constantly, so I was looking at landmarks and blazing trees and what have you, but I wasn't worried about it. We're on a main trail. in Wasaga Beach with locals. Like, what can go wrong? Silly me. Well, he says we're almost there. We're about a half an hour away. And about this time, it's about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, hi, buddy. It's just my dog clicking around, like I said. Sorry about that. And he says to me, he's got to go. I said, what's going on? He got a text message from his mom, and apparently there's a family emergency or something. So he had to go. And I was a little upset because we just walked all this way for what? Now we got to turn around and take off? But he says, no, climb up this hill. You'll get to the top. When you get to the top, you'll see a river. Follow the river. Follow the river south. Luckily I had a compass. And you can't miss it. You can't miss it. So, simple instructions. I see the hill. I can hear the river. My compass, no problem. So he goes. Before we go up the hill, we stop and have a fire. And cook some lunch. Because it's getting late at this point. So 2 hours go by. We're just like, okay, you know what? Let's just get this over with and get to this campsite. Set up. So my brother climbs to the top of the hill while I'm getting all my stuff back in my bag, and everybody else is stretching and getting ready to go. And I yell up to him and say, so, what's it look like? And he says, I'll never forget it, the tone of his voice. He says, dude, you might want to see this. So, of course, I'm like, oh, what is this, a moose? Like, what's going on? So I'm excited, so I drop my bag and I scamper up the hill. I get up to him and my shoulders just dropped. My jaw would have hit the grass. It was a sea of green all the way around, like you'd see in a movie. None of the landmarks you can see from this hill. It's just all the same. Treetops. No river, no stream, no lake, no pond, no nothing. So whatever. It's got to be in the trees. So the group gets up to the top of the hill, and they're saying the same thing, like, "Oh my goodness, I didn't think this was, local. This looks like the Amazon rainforest." So my adrenaline's starting to kick in at this point. So is my brother's. I can tell. Like, okay, we are possibly lost. This isn't good. But let's keep our cool. Let's get to the bottom of this hill. See if we can find the water. So we get to the bottom of the hill. There's no water anywhere. We walk for about 45 minutes south. No water. No nothing. Nothing. And at some point, I don't know how, but at some point we got turned around, or something happened and we got turned around. And yeah, we were lost. We were legitimately lost. It felt like forever we were lost. Now, I mean, I don't want to sound dramatic because we weren't stuck overnight, but that was by pure luck that we weren't stuck overnight. So everyone's clearly panicking at this point. Like, they know that this isn't good, we're lost. Luckily, like I said, we're going camping, so we have supplies for at least 2 days. With my skills and my brother's skills, we should be okay for, a week. Survival's based on luck, in my opinion. Skill is great, but it all boils down to luck. So, an extra week, maybe, if we're lucky. I don't want to doom and gloom, but that's what we were thinking. The one guy that was with us, Jamie, he was the hardest one to convince to keep moving. We got to keep moving, keep moving. He just tapped out. He would sit down and just say, you know what, when you find help, come back. I'll be on this rock. Yeah, what am I going to tell him? He's on that rock. Go find him. No. So we had to keep him moving. The one kid was, Kyle is his name. He was a paintballer. So I guess that means survival expert, because he took charge, or thought he was taking charge. And honestly, if I let him take charge, we'd probably still be in the woods. But keeping everyone together was tough. Very tough. Keeping everybody up and moving was hard. So Kyle kept saying, I hear the road. It's over here. I hear the road. And I'm trying to explain to him, like, dude, it's reverb. That road sounds like it's 20 feet that way, but it's 25 miles that way. We need to relax and stay calm and stay together. Find the blazes on the trees that we made. We can get out of here. We can do it. And, oh, is that my wife? No. But I think about, I don't know, because it was probably around 8 o'clock at night, 8:30 at night, when we finally found a road. and we turned all of our flashlights on. And Jamie said, you know what, we're going to form a line and sit in the middle of the road across both lanes with our lights on both ways, facing this way and facing this way. And that's exactly what we did. I mean, it's safer than standing at the side of the road in the dark, right? And this woman stopped, and she was a little nervous at first until we explained really fast, and she could hear the exhaustion. She could just see it. We were done tapping out, and we piled all in the back of her truck, and she drove us home. And on the drive home, I realized how far away we were. So we started in Wasaga Beach, like right in Wasaga Beach, almost a main part of Wasaga Beach, and we ended up on the far side of Blue Mountain. Somehow, we ended up on the other side of Blue Mountain. Well, I don't want to say the other side of Blue Mountain, but very, very close to Blue Mountain. It was stunning. I'll never forget that view. It was just like a Hollywood movie where you just, oh boy, we are lost. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more content.